How would it feel to wake up in the morning and not be stressed out about your money? To be able to spend money without anxiety? To notice progress towards your goals of going on that tropical vacation, or finally seeing your debt being chipped away, or a plan to launch your business? What if I told you it was possible to stress less and achieve more? Here's the secret though. In order to create outside changes, you've got to do the inside work of getting into a better relationship with money. Why? Because 80 to 90% of your money decisions, they're based on your emotions. And you can read all the blogs and listen to all the podcasts, but nothing will change with your money until you do the inner work. Good news. I have got the solution to help you, and I am going to be your guide. I'm launching my signature course, Unf Your Money, on March 20th for 2 weeks. Yep, open to enroll until April 3rd. For this special launch, you can save $100 when you use code ETM at checkout at etmpod.link/unfmoney. In this course, you're going to walk away with an awareness of the money patterns, beliefs, and thoughts that are keeping you stuck, tools and tips to create a healthy relationship with money, and you'll create a mindful spending plan to reach your money goals. So yes, you can start thriving financially. Unf Your Money course is the most affordable way to take control of your money, create a plan to reach your goals, and deal with the messy emotions of money. Grab your spot by April 3rd and save $100 when you use code ETM at checkout. Head to etmpod.link/unfyourmoney or head to the link in the show notes. It will be right there. I'll see you in class.
Millions of people have lost weight with personalized plans from Noom. Like Evan, who can't stand salads and still lost 50 pounds.
Salads generally for most people are the easy button, right? For me, that wasn't an option. I never really was a salad guy. That's just not who I am. But Noom worked for me.
Get your personalized plan today at Noom.com. Real Noom user compensated to provide their story. In 4 weeks, the typical Noom user can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. Individual results may vary.
When it comes to financial advice, you got to trust the source. It's why you listen to this podcast. When I'm looking to upgrade my wallet, I turn to NerdWallet. Their expert team of nerds dives into the details to help you find smarter financial products. Before NerdWallet, I was paying for vacations all wrong. I was missing out on miles I didn't even know I was leaving on the table. Now I've got a new card with more miles and more upgrades. What could future you do with more travel rewards? I don't know, maybe that fancy hotel upgrade that you have always been dreaming about. Wherever you go next, make it happen with a smarter travel credit card. Don't wait to make smart financial decisions. Compare and find smarter credit cards, savings accounts, and more today at nerdwallet.com. NerdWallet. Finance smarter. As with all cards, credit is subject to lender approval and terms apply. Money myths. We talk about them a lot on the show, but in this Ask Shannah, I'm sharing the money myths that I think you need to know about. Hey there, welcome back to Everyone's Talkin' Money. I am your host, Shannah, and I am so thrilled you are joining me on this Ask Shannah episode where I talk openly and freely about a listener question. If you're a regular here, thanks so much for coming back. And if you're new here, these episodes, I like to keep things a little bit loose, so we feel like we're just hanging out having a bit of a conversation. They're a little less produced episodes of the regular episodes that you hear Mondays and Wednesdays, but it is so fun for me to answer your questions and just to really have a time to talk to you about money, the things going on in money, your feelings about money, and so I really appreciate these questions, and I would really encourage you, if you have a question and maybe you're a little nervous about asking it, please know that you can keep your question completely anonymous. I do not need to know who you are. You can give me as many details as you would like, or as little as you would like, but I will have the link in the show notes if you want to submit an Ask Shannah question. So this episode was inspired by a question from Loraine. Loraine says, Shannah, I have been listening to the show for over 5 years now and never miss an episode. You cover so many great topics. It's so much fun to think about my money from lots of different perspectives. I know you've done some shows on money myths, but I'm curious what some of your biggest money myths are that you think we need to know about. I'm just like everybody else and think money is super scary. but I always feel so welcomed on your show, and you make me feel like even just for a few minutes, I don't have to worry about money so much. That's what inspired this question, so thank you. Loraine, this is a great question. First, I just want to thank you for being a listener for over 5 years and never missing an episode. That is quite a feat. Like, I think you deserve some sort of cape or something. We have done over, I think I'm inching near 1,200 episodes right now. So I just want to thank all of you that are listening, that are subscribing, that are sharing this with your friends. That is one of the best ways we can keep this show going for many more years, is to continue to get more and more listeners. So if you've got a friend, and I mean, chances are, of course, they want to learn about money, grab their cell phone, subscribe to the podcast, and tell them to start listening to the show. But I really like your question. You're right. We've done a lot of episodes on money myths and lots of things that I've asked our guests on the show. But it's been a while since I've done a show where I've talked about some of my personal money myths and some of the things that I think you need to know about. So thanks for asking. It's fun for me to have this time to chat about that. But before we get into all of these juicy money myths, I just wanted to remind you that my course on F Your Money is open for enrollment. Right now, the open period is until April 3rd. You have until April 3rd to sign up. And I've got just 20 spots open. You can find out all the details at etmpod.link/unfmoney, or the link will be right in the show notes. All right, so let's start talking about some of those money myths. I think there's a lot of words that we could sub in for myth. We could talk about misconceptions. We could talk about false money beliefs. I think the idea is those things that we maybe just inherently think are true about money, but we don't know. There isn't a pulse check of whether this is a right thing about money or a right way of thinking about money, or it isn't. And I think the thing I want to talk about myths, and I tried to come up with some that were maybe a little bit different than we've covered on the show, is that maybe there are some things that you don't even know are present in your life, some things that we're just like our blind spots, right? Like our financial blind spots, and we all have them. If you think about driving in a car and there's always that area you can't see, and now cars are really smart, right? They beep at us or make some sort of noises if we're going to try to pull into the other lane. But I'm old enough to remember cars that didn't do that, or maybe you have a car that doesn't do that. And so you find yourself like looking, 15 times before you change lanes, like specifically on a big highway. Well, we can feel that same sort of way about our money. There are these blind spots that we just don't see, and things kind of come about and we're like, where did that come from? Or why do I have that feeling? Or, I have a good job and I make good money. Why am I stressed about money? Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Or envy. We can be really envious or jealous of our friends, and we can look at the exterior of their life and think that they have everything together. But reality, they're dealing with their own financial blind spots. They're just not openly talking about them. And I don't know if we're ever going to get to a time where we're able to talk about money from a really open place. I think there's a lot of great things happening. Salary transparency, all of those movements are really helping the cause. But I think it's important that we not only share the highlights of our money situation, but we also share the things that we are struggling with. And I think about when I'm with my girlfriends and we go out and we have coffee or tea and we sit around and we talk about good things, but we also talk about the hard stuff in life. And it's that community aspect that it just sort of makes you feel better, even if nothing is actually solved in that particular meeting. Maybe you have your favorite drink and you have, for me, it's a dessert. I've always got to have some sort of dessert. And I feel better when I've left that experience, but nothing has actually changed for me. And so my hope, my mission, my goal, something that you can help me with, is that we can get to a place where we can do that same thing around money, without all of those nasty side effects, shame, jealousy, bitterness, judgment, fear, anxiety. I mean, to some extent, those emotions are just going to be part of the process because money is it's this primal need. It's this thing we need, like food and water, and we can't escape that. I wish we could. It would be really nice sometimes, wouldn't it? To just operate in a world where we just did what we wanted to do and there wasn't any sort of hierarchy or monetary exchange. But I know I'm living in a complete fantasy world right now. I'll come back to Earth. So the first myth that I want to talk about, this is a really personal one for me. And it's that your self-worth doesn't equal your net worth. And I think it's so hard to separate yourself from money having that kind of power in your life because we watch how our parents interact with money and we grow up having some sort of frame of reference of what we can spend money on, what we can't spend money on, but more importantly, the things that aren't talked about, the emotions, the feelings, the anger, the angst, all of those things around money that are not openly shared, and we just don't know how to compute that in our little bodies, in our little brains, and then we grow up to be adults and we have some of those same feelings. And I have had money coaching with people who I would tell you they made so much money. I'm talking millions and millions of dollars. And their net worth was, great. A lot of us would trade positions with them. But they had still a really low self-worth and they didn't understand it. They would ask me these questions of, if I look on paper, my money looks really good, but I still don't feel good about myself. And so I think when we attach our self-worth with our net worth, we're setting ourselves up for a situation where no matter how much money you make or have, if you don't feel self-worthy, if you don't feel worthy yourself, if you can't find a place to love yourself without all of the stuff, without all of the money, if we add in any amount of money, it's not going to change that. It's not going to suddenly make you feel worthy. And I know it's really easy to talk about this when you're in a place of having some sort of net worth. So I'm very conscious of that fact. And for a lot of you listening, it may be if I just had more money, my gosh, things would be so much better in my situation. I just want you to think about this, that when you're out and you're at your job or whatever you do for a living, whether you're a stay-at-home parent or whatever your situation is, if we only attach meaning in life to money, wow, that's just so fickle. I have seen lots and lots of scenarios where people had a lot of money and that money went away or they lost their job or somebody got sick. And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but we have to find a place to love ourselves without money being in the conversation. You know, if I was sitting across from you and I was describing you to somebody else, I probably wouldn't say, well, they are 5'7", they have brown hair, they have blue eyes, they have a muscular build, they're fun-loving, they always cook a great meal, and then I probably wouldn't follow that up with, and they have X amount of dollars in their bank. I just wouldn't use it as a descriptor. And yet we do that as humans. We use money as a frame of reference, a hierarchy, seriously, for how we feel in the world. And so if I can just give you any piece of advice on that, it would be to try to figure out how you can feel worthy yourself, whether you make money or you don't make money, whether you have a lot of money or you don't have a lot of money, because that, my friend, that is a place of power. That is something that nobody can actually take away from you. Okay, we're going to go a little bit lighter for the next thing. The next money myth I want to talk about is buying a house is always better than renting. I know there are people on both sides of the coin. You both have very strong arguments. Some people feel very, very strongly that you are throwing away money if you are renting. But I think this is such a big myth, because buying a house is an expensive proposition wherever you live. It requires a lot of upfront money, and it's a commitment. It's a commitment for a certain period of time to live in that house, to pay the bills. Things are going to break. There's just a reality with owning a home. And renting, we all know, yes, you pay your money, and if something breaks, you have a landlord, that management company, somebody that comes in and fixes those things, and that's kind of brilliant. I kind of like that model. So I think with everything that we talk about financially, we can't just say black or white. This is good, this is not good, do this, not this. We can't do that, and particularly in this scenario, because there are lots of reasons why renting might be better for you. Maybe you don't plan to stay in that city for a long period of time. Maybe you're dating somebody new and you're like, I don't know, are we going to get married? I'm not sure what's going to happen. Maybe you want to travel. Maybe your job is a little unsecure. There are lots of reasons why paying rent actually makes very good sense. So let's just try and get rid of that one, okay? 3 kind of ties into number 1. So it's this idea that you'll feel happier when. I hear a lot of people say this to me over and over when they're talking to me about money. You know, I would feel happier when I got to this point, or when I made this amount of money, or when I could buy this thing, or when I was able to start my business, whatever it might be, fill in the blank. This goes back to our idea of self-worth doesn't equal net worth. You aren't probably going to feel happier when you reach that mark. I probably shared this story many, many times, but many years ago now, well over 15 years now, I bought, but definitely had a big payment, my dream car, my dream car. It was so expensive. I feel really embarrassed even telling you how expensive it is. Let's just say the monthly car payment was somewhere close to $1,000. Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But I had longed for that car forever. And I thought that car would make me, I don't know, fill a hole, would make me feel better, all sorts of things. I'm going to tell you, the minute I drove that car off the lot, oh, I felt so good. It was so good driving that car. It smelled so nice. I felt good in that car. All the wrong reasons to purchase that car were the reasons that I purchased that car. Now, I did do it because I got a nice tax deduction for it. So there was some logic behind buying this car, but still, I just had no reason that I needed to actually own this car. And I paid it off. I got it right before I got divorced. I paid it off all myself, which was a victory for me. And then I ended up selling the car and getting a far more practical car, and thought, I am never going to make this decision again, because I definitely felt like having this thing would make me feel happier, and it didn't. It actually made me feel really stressed out because I knew I had to make that payment every single month. So just an example. The next money myth I want to talk about is the myth that it is too late for you to save for retirement. And if you're in your 20s and listening to this episode and you're starting to save for your retirement, kudos for you. Just keep going. Just keep going, because time is on your side. I promise you things are going to work out great. If you're listening to this episode and you're in your 40s or your 50s and you haven't started saving for retirement, I know how that feels. When I got divorced, the entire retirement savings that my ex-husband and I had put aside, he got to keep, and I walked away with $0. And a lot of debt. And I was very stressed out in that situation. It took me many years to be able to have enough money to start paying for retirement. Remember, I had the very expensive car payment that I was paying for. And I can look back and shame myself for years for not making a different decision, but it doesn't help me. If we look back, and we look back at the decisions we made in our life, specifically around our money, and we're not happy with them, there's nothing we can actually do about them to change the past. But we can start today. So if I can give you any kind of motivation, go online, open your retirement account if you do not have one. If you have one right now, literally pause this episode and say, how much money can I contribute this month? If it's $20, if it's $100, if it's $1,000, just execute that, transfer that money over, set that up on auto payment, auto deduction, get it automated so you don't even have to think about it. If you make more money, great, fantastic. Send that over towards retirement. But it's not helpful if you keep yourself in a place of feeling like should've, would've, could've with your money. It's not moving you forward. So just make a choice today. Financial anxiety, anyone? Yeah, you're not alone. But worrying about it, it doesn't help. Earnin does. Earnin is an app that gives you access to your pay as you work up to $100 per day or up to $750 per pay period. You just download the Earnin app and verify your paycheck. Then you can access up to $100 per day as you work and leave an additional tip. Any money you access plus tips are automatically repaid from your next paycheck. So how would you spend the money you get from Earnin? Well, honestly, my hubby and I have been feeling a little bit disconnected lately. That's what happens after you've been together about 12 years. So I would spend the money on a special date night with dinner and maybe bowling, to bring back some of that giggly excitement that we both felt at the beginning. Make Earnin a part of your financial routine and join Earnin's over 3.5 million customers who say things like, when I think about Earnin, I think about financial stability, security. Gives me a lot of peace of mind. Download Earnin today, spelled EARNIN, in the Google Play or Apple App Store. When you download the Earnin app, type in Talkin', TALKAN, money under podcast when you sign up. It will really help the show. Talkin' money under podcast. Subject to your available earnings, location, daily max, and pay period max. See earnin.com/TOS for details. Earnin is a financial technology company, not a bank. Bank products are issued by Evolve Bank and Trust, member FDIC. Listen, if you've been using Mint to manage your money, I have got some news for you. First, the bad news. As you might know, Mint is shutting down for good. But the good news, well, there is a way better alternative that is a personal favorite of mine, Monarch Money. And I'm not the only lover of Monarch Money. Many Mint users are turning to Monarch Money and just raving about it. I used to manage my money with an Excel spreadsheet. I know, so archaic, and it was so time-consuming. I tried all of the apps, but I just didn't find one I liked until I found Monarch. And I've got to tell you a secret. Monarch is so easy to use with a very intuitive design. You can even collaborate with your partner and you can customize Monarch for whatever your needs are. Monarch is the top-rated all-in-one personal finance app. It gives you a comprehensive view of all your accounts, investments, transactions, and more. Create custom budgets, set goals, and collaborate with your partner. And now get an extended 30-day free trial when you go to monarchmoney.com/ETM. Let's go back to the collaboration bit. Because we know money is a leading cause of divorce and breakups, Monarch has built-in collaboration features so you can invite your partner at no extra cost. You can see all your finances, make a budget together, get insights on your cash. Yes, cue the confetti. There will literally not be any more arguments over money. And if you've been frustrated with personal finance apps that are cluttered with ads, difficult to use, or rarely updated, so was Monarch. They built a new kind of personal finance app that's intuitive and powerful, ad-free, and constantly improving based on customer feedback. Monarch has a tool that allows you as well to easily import your data from Mint. You can keep all of your tags and all of your categories. After trying Monarch for myself, I understand why it's the top-rated personal finance app. And right now, get an extended 30-day free trial when you go to monarchmoney.com/ETM. That's monarchmoney.com/ETM for your extended 30-day free trial.
Dreaming of a better sleep? Tossing and turning is not your destiny. And Ollie is here to help. Ollie invites you to sink into sweet, sweet slumber to improve your mental and physical health and overall wellness. More than just melatonin, Ollie's ingredients help you unwind your mind for a delightfully dreamy drift off. Sleep is on the way at Ollie.com. That's OLLY.com.
So we're talking about my biggest money myths that I want to share for you. And this one is one that I think to some extent we all feel some sort of connection to this one. It's this idea that I'm worried I'll never have enough money. And there's a lot of layers of complexity to this money myth. For one, if we watch TV or I would say even if we are on social media, there is a lot of messaging being pointed at you that reaffirms that you're not going to have enough money. This is how retirement companies operate. This is a lot of the financial products. This is a lot of the news cycle is focused on you're not going to have enough money. So it kind of breeds and feeds into this worry that you might already have. So I want you to try to calm yourself if you can. Block out the noise as best as you can. If you're watching TV and a commercial comes on and you feel a sense of angst come over you, just please hit the mute button. Don't even listen to it. Like, don't let it even permeate your brain and your body. But let's say you do. Let's say you do hear the messaging. Here's one way to combat this myth. I talk about creating a mindful spending plan. It's one of the things that I help you do in my course on F Your Money is help you create a custom spending plan for you. So this way, you know where your money is going, how much money you spend, and you're automating all sorts of things, including your money going towards all of these different goals, your emergency fund, your investments, your retirement, your kids' savings account, all of these different things. So the purpose of doing that is to give yourself a little bit of a grounding feeling that you know you're utilizing your money very intentionally in the best way possible. And so, yeah, you might not have enough money to like buy a tropical island. I'll give you that. But if you are utilizing your money in a way that's helping you move closer to your goals, then this idea of not having enough money doesn't really exist because you're channeling your money in the direction that you want it to go. I hope that makes sense to you. So it's a little bit like reverse engineering this myth. If you find yourself in a place of fear or freezing or fight or flight, some sort of like PTSD type reaction around money, stop, take a breath. Your breath is your best friend. Take a breath. Just center yourself for a minute and think, is there something proactive that I could do a little bit differently with my money starting today? It doesn't have to be anything big, but a lot of these myths that kind of churn up in us, they are there because maybe, I don't know the right wording here, but there may be like a flashing yellow light of like, hey, okay, I'm over here. Let's try to do something about this if possible. And then also let's think about, do we actually need to worry about this myth? So those are a couple of things I want you to think about if you get stuck in a place of worrying about a myth, specifically like this one.
Shipping can make or break a sale, so optimize how you ship your orders with ShipStation. They make it easy to automate and manage orders no matter how big your business grows. And they might even be able to help reduce shipping and warehouse costs. So optimize and keep up your momentum for growth with ShipStation. Sign up for your free 60-day trial now at ShipStation.com and use the code POD. That's ShipStation.com with the code POD.
Hey there! Did you know Baker's always gives you savings and rewards on top of our lower-than-low prices? And when you download the Baker's app, you'll enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons. And don't forget fuel points to help you save up to $1 per gallon at the pump. Want to save even more? With a Boost membership, you'll get double fuel points and free delivery. So shop and save big at Baker's today. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Savings may vary by state. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
I'm Samantha Cole, host of the new season of Understood, the Pornhub Empire. Over the course of 4 episodes, I'll tell you how a horny YouTube knockoff in Canada came to dominate the porn world, only to shatter their cheeky reputation in a massive scandal. The Pornhub Empire is a new season of Understood from the CBC. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
So let's talk about a couple other money myths that I think are important. The next one is my partner has to make more money than me. This one, I hope, is going to die a very strong death soon. I think when I look at my mom's generation and probably all the generations before that I didn't have access to them, the assumption was that if you are in a heterosexual marriage, that the man should make more money than you. That is the assumption. And that's actually the reality of what happened. There just weren't as many jobs available for women, and women really had to push to get in the workforce. Women couldn't have credit cards. They couldn't open loans without their husband's signature. Lots of things were just factually true about that. So it isn't so much of a myth of prior generations. It was somewhat of a reality that most people lived in. It's different now. Yes, the stats are still that women need to work about 2.5 months longer than men in order to make the same amount of money. And then if you are a person of color, you need to work a lot longer than somebody like myself, a white female. And so those numbers are just disgusting to me that exists. But I still find that we get in relationships and we're hopeful, I think, that the other partner will ease our load, that they'll make more money than us, that there won't be this pressure around money. And maybe it's just an assumption that most of us have. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't make you a bad person to have this assumption. But I ask you this question: what if something happened to your partner and they couldn't make money, or they couldn't make as much money? Would you still feel that connection with them? Would you still feel romantic with them? Would you still feel intimacy? Would you still feel like this is a worthy, good partnership? If the answer is no, then that's something I want you to think about. Why is that answer no? I'm not going to say that that's going to happen to you, but I've seen it enough times to know that this idea of buying into my partner has to make more money than me, sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. And I know a lot of heterosexual friends who are in relationships where the woman makes more money than the men, and that there is a internal kind of conflict that happens. Even if they're okay with that situation, they feel morally a little off. I know a lot of my friends have said, well, I don't know how other people would view me. I don't want them to look bad on my male partner. All of these kind of crazy assumptions that probably most people aren't making. And besides the fact, it's not anybody else's business who makes what money in the relationship. The only two people that matter are you and your partner. So if it's okay with you both, then who cares what anybody else thinks? This is my message around uneffing your money. It's getting rid of all of these myths and stereotypes that no longer fit you. They don't fit in your puzzle, so they don't belong in your frame of thinking. And so I hear this from so many couples, gay, straight, by every variety of couple, that this narrative kind of comes up and they don't know how to work through it. So if we take money off the table again and we just look at your partner, is there enough there for you to still want to have a relationship with them? That brings me into the next money myth. This is the idea that if I have money, that makes me a greedy person, or anybody who has a lot of money is a greedy person. I think this is a social narrative that has been built. And so we look at people in a position of having a lot of money and we immediately think they're greedy or they're not a great person. You fill in the blank. But I like to think about it this way. And again, there are exceptions, sure. I could probably name off quite a few people who have a lot of money who I would say probably very greedy, maybe not nice people. So of course, but I tend to think about it this way for you and me. The more money you have, the more people you can help with your money. So flipping it on its side so that it doesn't impair you, because if you look out in society and that is a money myth you believe, You also probably believe that of yourself, that if I make more money, then that means I'm a greedy person and I don't want to do that, so I'm just not going to make more money. And I find this a lot with my female clients and with my female friends, is having that sort of identity. So with any of these money myths, I think there's a point of looking in the mirror and saying, okay, do I think this of myself? And if the answer is yes, why? Where does that narrative come from? Can I identify that? And let me look at it and say, is it true or is it not true? And the things that are not true, can I disregard them? Can I say, these are not a part of who I am? These are not a part of my relationship with money. These are not going to get in my way of building wealth, of being successful, whatever. You fill in the blank of whatever makes you happy. All right, we've got 2 more that I want to talk about. The next one is that my debt makes me feel shameful. And this isn't really a money myth, I would say, as something I just hear a lot. So this attachment of debt equals shame. And I want to blow this one up just a little bit. Not the feeling. The feeling is very valid, and so many people feel this way. And understandably so, because debt is stressful. It's money that you owe, that you don't have money to pay for. And sometimes you can get in this cycle of looking back of how you spent your money and feel very shameful about the choices that you made. And so I understand those feelings. But I also think sometimes there is a way to look at debt from the lens of somehow that debt allowed me to get where I am right now. Maybe it put a roof over my head. Maybe it fed me. Maybe it fed my kids. Maybe it allowed me to start a business. Maybe if you have student loan debt, maybe it got me through school and got me a job. Now, whether or not it made sense to take out a student loan or to take on the debt, that's a whole other conversation. And quite frankly, not a conversation that I think you actually need to have because you're not in that phase of life anymore. I want you to detach shame from having debt. And I want you to look at it from a different perspective, if you can, even for just a minute. Do you have a plan in place to pay off that debt? Can you take a little bit of extra money each month and with one of the 2 debt payoff strategies, start putting a little debt towards either your highest interest debt or your lowest amount of debt? Can you just do a little? Just start somewhere, right? Again, we're going to automate it. We're going to get a mindful money plan in place. And we're going to start sending that money off and detach these feelings. All right, we're going to end with a personal fave money myth. And this is that there must be money secrets that some people know that you don't know. I love this one. I hear a variety of this one quite often. Like there is some sort of secret rubric or this like hidden book, right? And some people have access to it and you don't. And you feel really freaking left out of the conversation. There isn't. There aren't money secrets that some people know that you don't know. Sure, there are more sophisticated money concepts. Absolutely. But I would say, the cornerstone of being good with money and reaching your money goals is actually quite simple. But we want to make it very complex and very confusing. And so I want you to just keep it simple. Do you have a spending plan in place? Does that spending plan accurately depict the spending that you do, the reality, every single month? Do you have your goals on there? Do you have money automatically going towards your goals every month? Are you putting a little aside for emergency fund? Are you auto saving some money for retirement? On top of that, are you emotionally working through your feelings, thoughts about money so that when some of these money myths come up, you could say, yeah, I used to believe that myth, or I used to feel that way. But you know what? I'm in a better place. I know who I am. I know my lane. I know the direction I'm going. I know my vision in life. And I got my money going in that direction. If you can do that, my friend, that is the secret, actually. That is the secret. You will have won at the game of money, I promise you. All right, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a couple friends, get a couple more people listening to this show. And don't forget, if you want to sign up for the Unf Your Money course, you can go to etmpod.link/unfmoney. I promise you, this is like the most brilliant way that you are going to be able to help yourself, help your money situation, and help the future you. This is a completely different way of looking at and dealing with your money. It's from a very heart-centered place that's just going to make you feel good. I call it the other side of money. It's just a different way to do money. It's science-backed information I'm going to be sharing with you. Plus, my 20 plus years of working with people individually is pulled down into these 12 lessons that I'm going to share with you. Each lesson has an activity or exercise, and they're easy. They're short, right? This is not complex. I'm not going to throw jargon at you, but I want you to really feel like you can move forward from a place of control, power, being centered in who you are. All right. I will see you back here in a few days, my friends. As always, you can have the show notes for all the links mentioned in this episode, as well as the sponsors of this show. All right, I'll see you in a few days.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.